a sign you aren't attractive? Story 1. When you're ugly, people look at you and are generally not polite. If people don't look at you and you feel invisible, you are average. If people look at you and are nice and even helpful towards you, you are attractive. Story 2. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, it doesn't seem that bad. However, I had a toddler call me scary. I had a middle schooler call me ugly. My sister-in-law said I look like a child molester. I've been single for a long time and no one ever asked me why. Wow, this blew up. Just to clarify, all these comments happened years ago. IIRC, my SIL was referring to my driver's license photo. It still hurt though because she's usually not like that. I don't wish her any ill will and I don't want anyone else to either. But there's been other negative comments over the years, and I'm struggling to remember any compliments on my appearance. Yes, I have a beard and glasses, and am not good with eye contact. Also am widowed, but I still visit my wife's family often. Story 3. If you're a female, then the answer is that men don't pay attention to you. If you're a male, the answer is women don't want you to pay attention to them. Story 4. People don't look at you. If you find yourself in a crowd of people and not a single person is looking at you, you're probably not attractive. This is one thing that really stands out when you glow up. You get so used to being invisible, then all of a sudden it feels like everyone is staring at you all the time. It can feel very uncomfortable. Story 5. A new lady at my work was telling me how practically every man in the place had approached her and tried to make conversation within her first week. When she asked me if they did the same to me when I started, I had to try and explain as cheerfully as I could that no, not a single man has willingly approached me in the entire year I've been working here. She went on to talk about how it happens everywhere she goes, always getting approached and how annoying it is, and I sympathize. But the concept is so truly alien to me that I struggle to imagine it. Story 6. Don't need any signs. I'm an ugly guy. Been that way my whole sad life. Now I'm old too. I look like a cross between Danny DeVito and Steve Buscemi. When I fell off the ugly tree, I hit every branch on the way down. Story 7. If you're attractive, you know it. Women flirt with you. If you're ugly, you know it. No one flirts with you, and if you comment on your looks, people cobble together reassurances. If you're just not attractive, you know that too. You don't turn any heads, but no one rushes to shore up your feelings if you mention your looks. Story 8. Every time I go out with my friends, men will only listen when they talk and act like I don't exist when I say something. Also, the only compliment I get about my appearance is nice eyes. Story 9. Children are afraid of you. People don't smile at you in public. People avoid physical contact with you, like not sitting next to you in public transport or ducking your physical greetings. Story 10. Serious reply here of a more subtle thing. You find yourself having to clarify, explain, and defend neutral opinions or statements more. I went from hot to not, and it blew my mind how much people just believed me and nodded along before I got ugly. Story 11. Speaking as a hideous woman, you are invisible to men when it comes to dating and relationships. You never get any compliments on your appearance. People on the street give you strange looks when you pass them and start whispering behind your back. In a nutshell, you attract attention, but not in a positive way. Story 12. Nobody really wants to talk to you or spend time with you. You are mostly tolerated, not liked. People only hang out with you during forced events like school or work. Story 13. When I was a teenage boy, I was one of the most handsome dudes at my high school. Lots of girls would randomly talk to me, hit on me. 5 of them even asked me out directly during those years. I was extremely immature. However, I didn't care about dating at all. All I cared about was playing video games 247. At around 16 or 17, I finally went through brain puberty, but also had a horrible physical glow down in the process. Girls don't smile at me, don't hit on me, or ask me out since then anymore. It's been tough. It's crazy how easy it is to get girls when you're an attractive guy. I was stupid and did not yet care, and I was still getting girls' attention. Story 14. Some signs include you're getting ignored on social media and real life, getting bullied, spend the majority of your time in isolation, getting funny looks from people. People always say they're doing overtime at work, or at their family's wedding or funeral, or they don't answer their phone when you ring them. You might even later find out from some randomer who got tagged in your family friends post that they were actually having a nice meal out together. But when you confront them, they will lie to your face and tell you we tried to ring but couldn't reach you or something along those lines, even though your phone is always on. You will value kindness, integrity, and loyalty over material gain because you likely have learned early that material gain is meaningless and know the sharp sting of what being lonely and bullied means. So you work extra hard at work and be nice to everyone, only to find your attractive 19-year-old coworker is somehow a manager after 5 weeks when you've been doing the same exceptional job for 6 years. Basically, it's like loading up a game of Halo 3 on Legendary mode on solo campaign, watching all your good-looking friends play it on easy. Looks matter, friend. Story 15. People of the opposite don't talk to you. They just ignore you. I was on Erasmus and had a big mixed group of friends. Barely spoke to the guys though. Started to leave my glasses at home on nights out and wear skirts and heels instead of trousers and loafers. And then suddenly they all wanted to talk to me lol. Story 16. Maybe people never asking anything to someone. For X never getting asked for information in the street or a cigarette even if you don't smoke or a street name. I believe that being attractive is literally being magnetic because of the energy you put out. So if people don't feel like gravitating towards one person ever, it might mean this person's energy is off. Another one is never getting a compliment based on your appearance, style, or haircut ever. Story 17. When nobody ever tells you that you're attractive. Good-looking people are told that they're good-looking from the time they're babies, near every day of their lives, by strangers. Story 18. People won't engage in conversations with you or have interest in knowing you. I thought it was the norm until I went out with a friend who is attractive by social standards, and in the 3 or 4 hours we were hanging out, more than 3 girls came by to ask for his number or just to talk to him. And for those girls, I was invisible. That was the day I knew I wasn't. Story 19. People make a big deal over how smart or funny you are. Natalie Portman has a degree from Harvard, but nobody talks about how smart she is. When was the last time anyone talked about how attractive Mayim Bialik is? Story 20. As a woman who has been seen as unattractive, average, and attractive, I can say this: when you're seen as unattractive, the first thing you feel is invisibility. People avoid eye contact, ignore you, and only engage when they absolutely have to. But when you do need to interact, like asking for help or clarification, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. You can feel that you're a burden. Their responses lack warmth, patience, or any real attention. It's not direct hostility, just a cold disinterest that makes it clear they'd rather not be dealing with you. Some will still help, but it feels more like a formality than genuine kindness. You sense they want to get it over with as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, those same people will happily go out of their way for someone they find attractive, offering time, support, or even opportunities, and doing it with visible enthusiasm. That contrast is very real, and unless you've experienced both sides, you probably don't realize just how deeply it shapes the way people are treated. Story 21. Members of the opposite tell you about their partners without you asking. My boyfriend is over 6'5" and a rugby player. Well, that's great, but can I place my order now? Story 22. People ignore you until they absolutely need you for something. People will talk about how hot someone is, say disgusting things that they want to do to hot people in front of you, as if you're not in their vicinity. Basically, invisible. Story 23. Before I got married, people told me that unscrupulous women would flock to my wedding band and throw themselves at me. 20 years no hits solidified what I already knew. I'm ugly. Story 24. When you are severely lacking self-confidence or self-esteem, regardless of how you physically look, people immediately, naturally sense it and will be unlikely to find you attractive. Story 25. The fact that I just got suggested this post by my phone while I'm crying in my car. Not my day, but another comedic hit in my series of true unfortunate events. Story 26. The only likes from real people are from overweight, and I mean super overweight. Not the cute kind of plump kind. And you find out because you wasted money on Tinder Gold or whatever it was called to find out who it was. I'm never using those apps again. I doubt it's changed since 2021. People like your personality and character online, but as soon as they see your face, ghost central. Women don't give you a second glance in public either. Story 27. These replies are heartbreaking no matter what any of us in society think. You're never ugly. It's our beauty standards that have decided these things. But the most beautiful people are the ones with good, pure hearts. The most hideous people on earth are the ones with very wretched souls, aka evil hearts. If you saw how they looked inwardly, even the beautiful ones, we'd all be terrified. So don't let society trick you out of your value. Also, anyone that calls you ugly like it's nothing. There you go. They've proved my point. Story 28. I'm not really what people consider an ugly guy, so take what I will say with a grain of salt. But I think people's eyes are a good sign. People can't look away from a train wreck, especially if you're a really ugly girl. People glance at beautiful people, but they stare when someone doesn't look normal. If people don't look at you when you are outside, then you are likely a very solid average, and a change in wardrobe and a good skin routine is enough to elevate that to above average. People who are horribly scarred. However, people stare at them. They try not to interact with them. If you're not heavily scarred, injured, and people still treat you like that, then chances are you're very ugly. Story 29. Oh, I can answer this. The world will let you know. It is your universe. Your lived experience. You will see that rules of life are different for you. Story 30. People aren't hitting on you. I, 37, lost 115 pounds last year, then started lifting weights and dressing well. It is unreal the amount of attention I get. Almost all women are friendlier, and I'm getting flirted with all the time. I've always been attractive, but now that I'm in shape, it's like night and day. Story 31. If I'm not wearing makeup, I'm wearing my glasses and a baggy hoodie hiding my hair and baggy pants, I feel like I have invisibility superpowers. No one looks your way. People don't look you in the eyes. It's so shockingly different. I've always been pretty confident in my looks, but only then did I appreciate what everyone was talking about with pretty privilege. I'm not saying I'm God's gift to earth, to be clear. just have experienced both. The average and attractive experience to at least some degree, though my stunning model-looking friend legit seems to have superpowers. It makes me sad BC aging will likely have the same impact. A disappearance act. Story 32. I don't believe this is a thing. I think everyone is attractive to someone. Some are by looks, some by humor, some by body, some by income, some by conversation, some by talent and skill, some by intellect, some by creativity or artistry, and so on. You've never seen a couple in public and thought to yourself, what is he doing with her? Or vice versa. Because attractiveness isn't sold on appearance alone. Story 33. You always get unnoticed. For example, your boss of 10 years still does remember your name. Or high school classmates forgot who you are but remember others. Story 34. The fight or flight response you get from approaching a group of teenagers in public. In middle school, I was always a target for being ridiculed for my looks. I've gained a lot of confidence in my adulthood, but every now and then some little brats will make fun of ugly strangers for no reason. Story 35. If you can't remember the last time anyone gave you a compliment about your appearance, or you're still holding on to the one time a girl in 4th grade said you were cool despite being in your 30s. Story 36. It's as simple as people acting like you don't exist. If you're attractive, people basically don't leave you alone. You will get random conversations while grocery shopping or something. You will get constant smiles from people. People actively choose to be near you and seek you out for conversation. You're invited to things, etc. If you're invisible, you're ugly, or at least so unremarkable you might as well be ugly. Story 37. I've encountered this girl at the gym a few times. We crossed looks and smiled at each other. She was pretty, and I thought, maybe I have a shot across the next few days. We were just looking at each other, and I really felt some chemistry there. However, when we finally met and I was ready to ask for her name or number or whatever people do to meet people for dates, she finally told me she wasn't glancing at me because she liked me. She just liked the t-shirts I wore to the gym. Granted, they're intentionally humorous, and it really made me feel like a... Story 38. It's more a sign you are judging yourself by unreasonable standards. Go to an average supermarket and notice the couples. Are they all catwalk standard? Nope. Accept yourself as you are. Be your own best friend. Get yourself out there. I am no Adonis, and I never was, but I've been with my wife for knocking on 30 years. I didn't go out on the pull. It was a random meetup and we clicked. The only way you meet the right one is by increasing the odds. Thinking you're ugly is not one of them. Story 39. I was in my late 20s when I realized I could tell when women were attracted to me. There were signs I might be autistic, and a therapist spontaneously suggested I get screened, so I really thought I had trouble reading other people. I had met a lot of women I was interested in, and had been in relationships with a couple of them, but I had never been able to tell that they were attracted to me. One day, I met a woman and got a vibe that maybe she liked me. I returned the interest and found out I was right. We got intimate and really enjoyed each other. Then, the previous 10 years of my life clicked into focus. I had always been able to tell which women were attracted to me. I just hadn't believed it. I had trusted different, contrary information. For example, the 2 women I had been in serious relationships with weren't attracted to me at all, but I assumed they were, and I had taken that as evidence that I couldn't tell the difference. The downside of this realization was realizing that the confusion took 10 years to clear up because I so rarely encountered women who were attracted to me. The next 20 years of my life confirmed my conclusion, by the way. Story 40. I was set up with a friend's friend, and we met at a bar that did karaoke. She walked in. I waved. She turned to my friend yelling, "I thought you said he was cute." That might be a sign. Story 41. The different attitude you get from women. I have one friend who I would usually go to bars and clubs with. Has 66, played college football, is in great shape, has the square jawline and everything. It was typically a stark contrast in how they respond to conversation from him versus me. Story 42. A huge sign that you aren't attractive is that nobody concerns themselves with you after you make a long, big public showing, meaning you've made decent friends and acquaintances wholly I can't spell, but they don't bother checking up on you or finding ways to hang with you. And I don't mean attractive as in physical. I really mean personality-wise. Story 43. If all your parents' friends comment on Facebook photos of you saying things like, she is so grown up, rather than she is beautiful, he is handsome. Story 44. Weird story, but my weight changes constantly. I've been fat, skinny, athletic, etc., and people are infinitely nicer when I'm athletic or on the skinny side. Like scarily, to the point where girls laugh at my jokes more and people want to talk to me more. Story 45. When I'm walking with an attractive person and someone walks up to them and say, "You're really pretty," then awkwardly look at me and say, "You too," out of pity. Story 46. When your parents' friends compliment you as getting big. And no, I really don't mean that like gaining weight. Like they saw you as a baby and have seen you grow up, and instead of saying, "Wow, you've gotten so handsome, beautiful," it's "You've gotten so big, you were just a baby when I last saw you." Like, thanks for the compliment, didn't really have a choice to grow up. Story 47. For me, it was a period of my life when I tried to make positive changes. I couldn't afford a medical degree, so I ended up becoming an ACP advanced clinical practitioner, which is just below being a doctor. I played sports regularly and was fit. I owned my own home and had a car. When I went out, though, no female was remotely interested in me. I was the stereotypical, oh, he is such a great guy, but not for me. Then, at work, I heard the nurses in the break room talk about guys, and I came up. He has a face for radio. It's weird, because I always knew I was unattractive, but hearing it hits different. I tell my wife that I still don't know why she's with me. I still get scared when she gets her eyes checked. I have this irrational fear that one day she will put in contacts and realize what I look like. She is to this day, my mother being an exception, the only woman to have complimented my looks. You have to be strong in this world. Story 48. I am convinced the attractiveness is not about the looks you were born with, but how you feel and behave. I've seen some women and men who would not be considered attractive by the world's standard, yet they attracted a lot of attention to themselves just by being confident and charismatic. Story 49. Reading the comments made me realize that I might not be that unattractive. I would say I am, but since I am very sanguinic and happy usually, I tend to attract people. I guess looks aren't everything. Story 50. I remember some years ago I was going to the gym and eating right, and generally feeling. I slimmed down and it was great. My friend mentioned wanting to set me up on a blind date and I said sure. And when I met the girl, she was very sweet but also morbidly obese. I'm sure some people are into that, but not me. And honestly, it really hurt. Like this was a time in my life when I was relatively fit and visibly skinny, and my friend thought, ah yes, here's a girl that's at your level. That, along with a few other factors, sort of killed my motivation to work out. Because what was the point if even at my healthiest I was still ugly? Feels bad. If you're a guy, you're in luck. No matter how unattractive your face are, if you're ripped, financially stable, and has best character, you'll be desired. That is something we can work out. Story 51. As I read these comments, I'm just going to say that when it comes to how attractive I am to others, to me, life is about living it. Life is too short, and we have limited energy throughout each day to be misusing it on people who lack the social skills to treat people fairly regardless of attraction status. Find the style that makes you say, yeah, I look good in this, to the mirror. Make your style yours and be genuinely passionate about it. What colors do you like? What is your favorite materials to wear? What type of pants and shirts do you enjoy wearing the most? I hope these are useful reminders to some of you who struggle being out in public. Don't make decisions around people or enable people who don't know how to treat others properly. Don't make their insecure struggles become your own. People who are being passive-aggressive simply due to your looks don't deserve your dignity. Story 52. When you are not used to getting compliments. But when you are aware of it, you then tend to always try to give compliments to others, because that's how you want to be treated. Not expecting them to do it, though. You just don't want them to feel the same feeling you felt. Story 53. A sign you aren't attractive? When even your reflection avoids eye contact. But seriously, everyone's got their own vibe. Sometimes it's not about looks, but how you carry your confidence is way more attractive than any face. Story 54. Once went to a bar with friends. They saw a couple of girls at a table and asked if we could join. They told them they could, but I can stay where I was. The bartender and I watched WWE while they chatted. I had a good burger too. Story 55. Doesn't happen as often anymore, but when I was younger and a group of girls would walk by, one of them would say, "You gross" or "yuck," just loud enough for me to hear it. Yes, I know I'm ugly, but thanks for reminding me. Story 56. Whilst having a conversation with my neighbor, who was on the larger side, my then 7-year-old asked him why he had boobies like girls do. There was a pause that seemed to last about 3 months. Story 57. A pro tip from an old lady. A surprisingly large part of attractiveness comes from style, health, condition of skin, hair, teeth, grace, how one carries oneself, and how well one treats others. When I was younger, I realized I can make men walk into walls and drop things depending on the outfit and behavior. Now I also know I can downplay all of the above and become intentionally invisible or even ugly. So don't take your level of attractiveness as something you can't affect. Story 58. You know how I could tell I wasn't attractive? My parents put a chop around my neck so the dog would play with me. I'm so ugly my proctologist stuck his finger in my mouth. Let me tell you, on Halloween, I open the front door, kids give me candy. I tell ya, I get no respect.